I'm Amy Fisher, and welcome to Amy Fisher at Large. This is our first anniversary show, and we're back at the Grounds for Sculpture where we began last year. And we're going to be talking to Mr. Seward Johnson Jr. again, who will describe to us some of the happenings at the Grounds for Sculpture and the way it's changed over the years. So we hope you enjoy the show. Mr. Johnson, so much has changed in the Grounds for Sculpture since last October. Could you tell us all the major things that have happened since then?
Yes, I can. Well, we've expanded it 10 acres. That's the biggest thing. By taking up a road that used to come, the Fairgrounds Road, and putting a new one in, we were able to join two pieces of property. And my friend is commenting on what I'm saying here. So two pieces of property that we have landscaped it a bit, but we've yet to fill it full of sculpture. And so it'll be a little at a time developing that. In the meantime, we have a new entrance to Grounds for Sculpture and a separate entrance to Rats, which is you come in a different way.
Right.
And so people can enter the park from either end, depending on whether they're coming to eat at Rats, then they can enter the park between courses or after dinner. And then, so it's very much more complicated. Then here at Rats, we've expanded the kitchen to 3.5 times as big as it was. And we also have this expansion of the Kabul Cafe, which is going to further expand into here with belly dancing. And so, and everybody will be lying down on a rug and pillows around the belly dancer, who will be dancing in the middle. And I'll have to have a big, strong bodyguard there to protect her. And so we will, but also here we have dining, that you could dine out whether it's raining or not, because we have glass roofed trellises here that also are going to have heat underneath them. They'll have also the misters will keep it cool in the summer, and fans, and so it'll be nature a little bit improved. Right. And so that's the theory of this. I really want this to be the best dining experience that it can be.
Well, actually, I would consider this nature quite a bit improved, the whole park. I mean, it is so, the landscaping you have done is wonderful. And you had mentioned some stones. You pay attention to every detail, do you not?
I do. I designed the table settings. In the Kabul Cafe, we're having things made in Afghanistan. The reason I chose the Kabul Cafe, everybody has just learned about Kabul and Afghanistan because of the war. And it's one of the most dramatic places in history. I mean, Marco Polo went through there, Genghis Khan, I can't remember, but I've really done a history of all the trade routes ran through Kabul. And it had palaces and gardens, and it was lovely at one time. This was way before, this was about 2,000 years ago. And in fact, a little bit more, 2,500 years ago, I think it was started. And so it was on the trade routes to China, connecting China and the Mediterranean, and it was and connecting the Indian, lush produce from India came up. And lapis lazuli was mined there, and all gemstones and slaves and frankincense and myrrh were all traded, and so it was a very rich trading city, and so it had lots of history. And
Yes. As part of this complex, you've also opened a gift shop and a gallery in the past year, correct?
yes, that's right. And they are, I think that gift shop is one of the best gift shops I've ever seen. And the gallery now has Chihuli's thing that are really phenomenal.
Yes. Well, I saw the Chihuly in the gallery, but now the winter show will be Chihuly.
That's right, the fall and winter show.
Chihuly is sort of a departure from the sculpture that you've usually had. First of all, could you explain what Chihuly does and how did you get him?
He sculpts in glass.
Mm-hmm.
He also has a sense of theater, a sense of drama, and his works are breathtakingly beautiful, and he knows how to mix them with nature.
Yes.
And they put them in arboretums and mix them with the plants, and it just makes you draw your breath in. I mean, it's always a beautiful surprise.
It amazes me that the glass can be displayed outside.
That is what I've got to find out, whether it's temporary or whether it can be left outside. Mm-hmm. Because if it can be left outside, I will design parts of the park for it.
Right. Yeah.
I have to worry about whether freezing, whether water and freezing, ice storm.
Yes, wind.
Things like that. Wind, yes.
Yeah.
All of those things. But they put like these discs up in trees to catch the light. Mm. And it's like you're in Mars or some magical place. And so there's a lot of magic to his work.
I see. You also have lithographs that he did and woodcuts in the gallery. I did not know that he did that kind of art.
I didn't know that much about him myself before, but I've always been interested in glass sculpture,
yes.
and I would say that he has really learned how to make glass do many things, and taken the art a long way.
Let's talk a little bit about your new work. Were You Invited, the boating party. That is such a magnificent piece of work.
Well, it's a lot of fun because, well, first place, it seems like we got a whole crowd there, then 19 people who don't talk. And so you can join the party if you wish, and then you can find out what's going on between them. There are all kinds of little secrets going on that need to be discovered.
I think it's so great, and what I think is really interesting is that you are in that sculpture.
Oh, yes. Well, you see, Renoir didn't know that the four of us sculptors from the 20th century had snuck in the back door.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, and we've got about twice as much wine, empty bottles on our table as everybody else's. So
okay.
We were, as crashers, we were very effective.
It's so great. And when the first time that I saw that there were other people in it besides the original boating party, it's like, I think the reaction that most people have when they see your work is a big smile. I think that's
good. I hope they take it further. I want to give them that to begin with. Then I want them to think.
Think a bit, yeah. But I agree.
I love it. I was talking to Magdalena. I said, your work makes people think. I said, my work makes people smile. And she said, no. She said, I've been thinking about your work a lot. And she said, she said, you've been doing it against the grain of the art world. And she said, that makes people think.
Yes, well, it does. I mean, I think the first reaction is a smile, and then you think about what's there, particularly in a work like that, which is so complex. Now, how long did that take to get done?
It was 2.5 years.
I would imagine so.
I mean, I did get some things through else that where I had commissions, but it really absorbed all my powers of production for a long time. I was so glad to finish it, because I had so many ideas piled up, and it takes so long. after you have an idea. In sculpture, there's a lot of work in each piece.
Oh, yes. I was mentioning about the leather jacket that one of the artists is wearing. Could you tell us how you get that texture of that?
Yeah, well, that was on one of us four artists. I think that was on Andrew Paczynski. And I use, for my realism, my street work, I dress a nude sculpture with real clothes. And I used a real leather jacket, but only to achieve shape. I put resin in the leather jacket so it's stiff, and then I take a mold of the figure and the jacket and all the clothes on, and then that mold has the negative shape, and so by making a wax positive, I can then transfer it into bronze by the lost wax method, and so I have all the realism of the clothes themselves. I have to drape them, and then before they're resin into place, and there is someone who does seamstress type of work, and she does all the research of, for instance, in period clothes and things like that. What would do? I'm doing a piece that's going into Hackensack with Audrey Hepburn, and getting her clothes is so important because they were her signature, and so I have her. Her foundation is building a children's hospital there.
Oh.
So I have her.
Here's your friend.
Standing. Thank you, sir. Standing with a builder, showing her the plans. But she sees a child over on the side, and she's waving with one finger to the child, and it's so. And having this hat that was so Audrey, it was so important because. I mean, she was just such an individual.
Yes.
And the way she dressed and everything was so individualistic, and I had to capture. I had done Marilyn Monroe. I don't generally do portraiture, but with people I'm really turned on to. I'm doing one of Kirk Douglas upstairs. He's going to be here on Sunday to pose with me.
Great.
And I did two faces, one when I knew him when I was 16 years old, and one now.
Wonderful.
And it looks so like Mount Rushmore. I've got these two faces coming out of one head.
Oh, that's great.
And that's going to be in stainless steel.
And where will that be, an exhibit?
I'll have to let him figure that one out.
Okay.
He's got to do it, but he asked me. I told him I don't do portraiture because I really don't like the second guessing about, you know. But I've done a few. I mean, I did my father. I did some people who went down in one of our submersibles and were killed. And so where I'm terribly moved, then I will do, and I'll put up with the problems.
Now, one of your sculptures that makes you think right from the beginning, and this does not evoke a smile, is the King Lear that you have.
Yes, the King Lear I did when my father was nearly the year before he died, and he seemed to be realizing that he'd made a terrible mistake in marrying the last time. And he was sort of being ejected from his own estate, as it were. And that, of course, is the story of King Lear by his daughters, and except for one daughter. And so I was going to have that put into Lincoln Center, and I was going to have Lincoln Center people come out and see it, so I was going to put it at Yasna Polana to have it looked at. But my father's widow put her foot down, didn't want it to be brought through the house. I don't know if she picked up on on the story or not. And so I put it outside the front gate of the house,
Mm-hmm.
and then my father died, and the damn thing was left there, and I had to get it off the property to get it back. So I had the atelier call them up and say it has bronze disease, and it has to be gotten out. So I sent the crew there, and I told them, be sure to take a camera and 2 rolls of film and get pictures of it there, and take the film out of the camera immediately, because the guards will take the cameras away and take your film away. And so they did do that. And then I had another truck at the end of the driveway with a crane. So I said, drive to the gate, and if they close the gates on you, put the crane and take it over the gate. And so we had this all planned. We got it out without any problem, but
well,
I had a
good.
battle plan.
Well, it's in a
case.
perfect place here. It's
Yeah.
and after seeing all of your other work, it's a surprise when you read that's by you.
Yes, well, I was working on this piece. When I first did it, the maquette, I stayed up all night, and I really finished it just before breakfast. And I was so excited, I just stayed up all day.
Right.
And so then when I went to make it, they were cutting blocks of plastiline for me, and I was just slapping them on. And all of a sudden I said, hey, this looks like pelts of fur.
Uh-huh.
And so I'll leave it.
Right.
Stop right
It's
there.
wonderful.
So
Well, let's talk a little bit about this sculpture that's right here, well, now behind the mist. Where is that from?
this head is by Philip Grossman, and he calls it Leucanthur.
Mm-hmm.
And so the room opposite the head there is called the Leucanthur room.
Uh-huh.
And in the mist here, and this is a mist that we create with compressed air, it has a wonderful eerie quality, and because these are supposed to be like the Monet gardens in Giverny, that's what the bridge is. We were concerned whether it would take away from that, but I think it doesn't. I think it gives a lot of character to
Oh, it does. It's amazing when you come first and see it when you're walking back down.
Yes.
It creates a
Well,
wonderful impression.
being that this is a sculpture garden, to have a large piece of sculpture be prominent,
Right.
it really makes a statement, you know, that this is not Giverny, this is a sculpture garden.
Right.
But
And do you decide where every piece of sculpture goes?
no,
No.
but I do change some.
Mm-hmm.
Once in a while, sometimes it has to, a piece has to move around a number of places.
Yes.
To really find its home. There's a woman over there in red that was a summertime lady, and that was by the museum.
Mm-hmm.
And when I moved here, it upset a lot of people because it was such a strong statement, and this is a much more subtle situation here. And so it's going to be going back there, but in the meantime, it's all right. I okayed that going in there, but I will okay it leaving.
Okay. Now, you mentioned the gardens of Giverny. All of this landscaping, who does the landscape design and the planting?
I do a lot of it. I was the one who said I want to have the land sculpted, so that each piece is a separate experience as much as possible. I want it to be a sequential experience going through the park.
Right.
And I think that's terribly important. And then to add theater to the experience, so that when you go around, it's wow,
Yes.
all of a sudden it hits you, you see.
Yes.
Brian Carey is his name.
Brian Carey.
And so Brian enjoyed that too, and then I kept adding things like the rooms. I just put the columns up first, and then I put the arborvitae between the columns on the sculpture pad, and then I designed those other rooms where the mirror is when you go through a tunnel, and then the going up over the hill to see If It Were Time.
Right.
All of that is theater. Again, is you go around the corner and there it is. The idea is that it's got to be endless. I mean, we're going to have that new building over there that's where we joined the properties. That's going to have 3 theaters in it for independent films.
Wow.
And when we get the money to do it. And they will be so, they're going to have an ice skating place over there that'll be able to be frozen by machinery, but it'll be look like a natural pond. Because I want to bring people in the wintertime. We have a warming hut we just built.
Yes, and tell me about that. What is the warming hut?
Well, the warming hut is a place to come in, so you can go when it's snowing or whatever, and you can go and cuddle in there, and maybe we'll serve hot chocolate or something.
Be great.
But the whole idea is to be able to make you able to stay out longer without getting a chill.
One of the things that we mentioned when we were here last is that this used to be the New Jersey State Fairgrounds, and you said when you first came upon it, it was rubble. And
absolute rubble, yes.
So
Because they had torn down the grandstands, and all of the broken bricks were all over the place. Not even weeds were growing. I mean, it was really pretty awful looking.
So what was did you have a vision for this, that this would happen when you first saw it?
I didn't have a vision that this would happen. I thought we'll improve it. And each step, I remember I brought out the head of the Lincoln Center and showed it, and said, this is going to be a sculpture park. And he nodded, and he told me later he thought I was mad. And he said both because, well, a lot of times people they call it a sculpture park. They just plop down pieces of sculpture any old place and call it a sculpture park. That is, of course, not my intent. My intent is to enhance each piece.
Right, which you certainly do, because you just come upon the sculptures in places that you don't expect as you're walking through, and it makes it such an interesting place to go that no matter how many times you come, you always find something new. And even though you're adding things all the time, but the other things are...
I think one of the dimensions was putting rats in, you see. Having a very fine restaurant is the experience you have when you are in Paris. You mix culture with fine dining as part of culture. And of course in New York City, the same thing.
Yes.
And so it's an urban experience, but in France they had wonderful restaurants in the countryside. So to mix culture in the country with a fine dining experience, to me, takes it all the way, and you get different type of people, and you cross-reference them.
Right.
You got somebody who's interested in a wonderful meal, but they get to walk off each course and learn a little bit about sculpture and have a little fun.
How about, I want to ask you about how you feel about children coming?
Children? I like to have children come. We give them pads so that they can interact with the sculpture. I like to have them on weekdays. There are times when parents have to, in order to come, bring them. I just assume, but we charge full price on the weekend, as an adult would pay, just simply because we don't want a kindergarten happening. It's a sort of an adult cultural experience.
Right.
And so we have school groups come in here during the week, and they're free of charge during the week.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think Tuesday through Thursday they're free of charge. And I think we have for senior citizens a very, I don't know if it's free of charge or next to it, during the week.
During the week.
And then it goes up on the weekends.
And you're open Tuesday through Sunday, correct?
Tuesday through Sunday, right. And what I want to try and figure out is what to do on holiday weekends where Monday is part of it. I don't know what decision has been made, on that, but I really feel that this is a place. And we were open free of charge on September 11th to let people come, and we had 700 some people come that day.
That's wonderful.
And of course I have my piece from September 11th that was at the World Trade Center.
Yes, where is that here now?
No. I hope it's there. I haven't. I have somebody from the New York Times looking for it. They are because it wasn't. It's not where it was, and so somebody's put it someplace, and I've got to find out where it is so I can add all the accoutrements that people had put on it. I've made them into bronze. The teddy bears, the crosses, the all the signs and everything, and the flowers. You couldn't see the piece. It was so buried in all of this by the rescue workers. So I felt that they made their sculpture there.
Yes.
And my piece was just an armature for their sculpture. And so that's what I'm trying to recreate in bronze.
What are your plans for the immediate future?
Just trying to weather through the economic situation here, and then I would like to expand with that new building, and then I'd like to build a hotel, and we have 7 acres more of expansion room to build a hotel that will be called the Bed Bug Inn.
Yes, that's wonderful. Well, thanks so much for taking the time to talk with us again.
Well,
we'll see you again, I hope.
Thank you. I look forward to it, and yes, we'll have an anniversary meeting.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot.
Thanks to you.
That's the end of our tour of the Grounds for Sculpture today. We met some new friends along the way. If you'd like to visit here, you can get directions at the website, which is www.groundsforsculpture.org. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope to see you again soon. Thanks for watching.